Hey everyone, welcome back to Engelbard Gaming. Reviewing current games is always a bit of a crapshoot for me on this channel. Sometimes they do okay, other times they go about as well as my Hollow Knight Silksong review from a couple of weeks ago. So here I am tempting fate yet again. Come get me, fate, you cold-hearted Oh, sorry about the language. I don't know what came over me. Must have been the evil influence of that no-good, angry video game nerd. Yes, I've completely played through his latest game, and I'm here to tell you whether it's good or it's... In the interest of full disclosure, I was provided a copy of this game for free to review for the channel. There were no strings attached of any kind, and no one is going to see the contents of this review before I post it, including either the script or the video, and all opinions within it are, as usual, my own. And if you think anyone can buy my opinion for $20...
Well, you're wrong!
Oh, and just before I go on, a very quick channel reminder. I let everyone know in my last video that I'm updating my Patreon, and if I get 5 new subscribers at any level, even the lowest level, by November 6th, 2025, it's roughly 2 weeks from now, I'll enable ad-free videos for all paid Patreon tiers. If you want ad-free videos, you have to get in now. I'm only going to do them if I see enough interest. Right now I've got 1 out of the 5 as of a couple of days ago when I first announced this. Alright, let's get on with the review, shall we? If you guys don't know who the angry video game nerd is by now, I have to assume you're probably way younger than most people that typically watch this channel. Hello and welcome. Anyway, AVGN was one of the earliest YouTube personalities to cover video games, especially in character, in a unique way. He didn't do boring old reviews like I do here, he did them in character as an angry video game nerd who cursed up a storm, drank beer, and talked a lot about bodily functions. Eventually, the channel built up a huge cast of side characters, played mostly either by the nerd himself, James Rolfe, or his friends like Mike Matei and others, and there was some story lore that started to work its way in and that would return in future videos. If you haven't checked in a while, AVGN is still around and making new videos. And he doesn't need me to advertise his channel. More people see his channel in a day than will see mine in its entire lifetime. But hey, I've made my peace with that one. The only reason I bring up the background stuff is this game is for fans of AVGN who've seen a good portion of his videos over the years. There are references to games he particularly mentioned hating, some of his most famous side characters make an appearance, and there's even one level gag that goes back to the game he probably hates more than all others. I'm gonna try not to spoil any of the best gags in this video for those who want to experience the game themselves, so I'm gonna talk mainly just about play mechanics and whether or not the game is actually good and worth your time, stuff like that. Angry Video Game Nerd 8-Bit is available on modern platforms from Retroware, typically for $19.99, and is currently on sale for $17.99. Also, guess what? The game just came out literally today, so I even put this timely review out here right now, so you'll know immediately off the bat if this is for you or not. Anyway, what kind of game is Angry Video Game Nerd 8-Bit? As you can probably tell from looking at it, its gameplay and mechanics are most heavily inspired by Mega Man on the NES. There's also a dash of Contra and Castlevania thrown in. The aesthetics are pure NES, and there's even an NES version of the game in the works. Now, I played the PC version on Steam for this review, and while the style is NES, this game has way more going on in parts than you'd be able to duplicate on a real actual NES system, so I imagine the upcoming NES release is going to be close but scaled back a bit in certain ways. The basic premise of this game is a certain, let's call it, machine creature, which is extra glitched out and has infected every game system in the world with a virus stopping them from working. The nerd ain't having that and performs a ceremony to create a very special game that he can force into this machine that can penetrate all its defenses, and then he can use it to defeat the boss and all of its glitches. The game has 7 levels, each with its own unique theme. Each level is based on an old game that AVGN had strong opinions on. Some levels are much more closely based on their source material than others, but you'll see levels based on stuff like Castlevania, Jekyll and Hyde, Terminator, and more. It's a surprisingly basic action game. You can run, jump, slide, fire, and you can use special side weapons. Even though the play mechanics feel about 90% Mega Man, it's actually sort of a cross between Mega Man and a run and gun like Contra, with that dash of Castlevania thrown in like I mentioned, but there's no mistaking the primary influence here. And it took me just under an hour and a half to beat the game on normal difficulty. But this is one of those games that's really more about the experience than how long it takes you to finish it. And I'll talk about both of those things as we go on in just a moment here. Now I'm gonna limit what I show you on here because I keep this channel PG rated so it's safe for work and all that. But if you know AVGN, you can imagine what the dialogue in this game is like, both spoken and written in text. As far as spoken dialogue goes, most of what happens is in the opening and ending cinematics, such as they are, which replicate a normal AVGN video and take place in his familiar game basement. And if you like AVGN in general, you'll enjoy those. You'll get at least a chuckle or two out of them. Cutscenes that introduce levels are done in-engine and are very brief, typically just a quick introduction into what the theme of the level is. And again, they're usually good for a quick laugh or two, and some of them lead to old references from the channel that fans will appreciate. Now, once you're in-game, you get to pick one of the first 6 levels, and you can do them in any order, Mega Man style. The 7th and final level doesn't unlock until you've completed the first 6. From there, the character's proportions, the feeling of gravity, the general handling is all very Mega Man. You have a gun that can be powered up multiple times by picking up special icons scattered throughout the levels. If you get hit, your gun loses a level. It pops out of you, and you have a split second or two to try and recover it to restore your power level. Losing your weapon levels in this game can be devastating, and I always hated that as a play mechanic even in older games. As you can probably guess, no, I'm not a fan of that mechanic in this game either. And yes, it'd be too easy if your sole main weapon was always powered up if it didn't have any effect from you getting hit or anything like that, but that's what game design is about. There should have been tweaks to this general system to make it less frustrating when you take a hit or two or when you die or have to continue. If I was allowed to change just one thing about this game, it would absolutely be the ridiculous power down system that it uses when you take a hit. Maybe they could have had a few different selectable weapons, and also, I mean, if you're gonna borrow so heavily from Mega Man, why skip out on the most important part, which is having a huge variety of weapons? Now, you can also pick up a Super Scope eyepiece accessory thing which enables a charge shot. This power-up is kinda rare throughout the game. I didn't encounter it all that many times in my playthrough at least. It can make taking out a few of the enemies easier, but definitely isn't essential or anything. Finally, there are a host of sub-weapons. You can pick up what look like standard beer bottles that you can throw in an arc almost like the axe from Castlevania. I'm not quite sure if they're supposed to be standard beer bottles or Molotov cocktails, but they're one or the other. There's a smart bomb that'll kill pretty much every enemy that's on the screen, there's a very temporary invincibility power-up, and a few others. By default, they work on the X button or the top button in your diamond formation controller, but you can configure them to activate when you press up and the regular attack button Castlevania style if you want. As far as the kind of stuff you encounter from a gameplay standpoint, there are a lot of spikes just ready to one-hit kill you in this game. There are also bottomless pits that one-hit kill you, and regular enemy attacks, if they connect, will drain your life meter if they hit you, but very often they'll manage to hit you in the air above spikes or a pit, and then you'll just die as soon as you fall down anyway. And I've got to say, the last level was really challenging in this game, but most of the others up to that point were relatively easy. And if you die, you go back to a checkpoint in the level. On your last life, you get a special power-up. Famous AVGN character Pickle. Yeah, that's his name. I'm just gonna call him your Pickle Pal for the rest of this episode. Anyway, your Pickle Pal is great. He powers up your gun several levels immediately, and then he'll also toss you gun power-ups sort of randomly throughout and some health power-ups, and he'll take out enemies along the way, and he stays with you for a fairly long time. Now, even crazier is every boss fight is a checkpoint unto itself, so if your last life happens at a boss fight, well, your Pickle Pal will still show up, and it'll make fighting the bosses dramatically easier. And if you die on that last life, though, it's back to the beginning of the level for you, which is pretty typical for old school action games. And I should mention on my first time through this game, I only had to continue twice. Now, as far as the aesthetics go, the graphics, sound, and music are all fine. There are nice 8-bit renditions of the AVGN theme in here, along with decent regular level music. There's also a few low-quality PCM voice samples done in the NES style, most of which I can't play on here with my own self-imposed rules against profanity. Oh well, trust me, they're in there. So who is Angry Video Game Nerd 8-Bit for? Well, if you really want to get the most enjoyment out of it, you have to be a fan of both AVGN and classic NES action games. And hey, that's alright, that's a pretty sizable audience right there. If you don't like AVGN, you might still like the game. It's a decent 8-bit style action platformer. If you don't enjoy the NES aesthetic or gameplay, well, that's where you're out of luck. Now, with all that in mind, I'm going to wrap this up now and give you my review score for this game. So first up, I happen to like AVGN. I've seen every video he's ever done. I also like NES action platformers. I enjoyed this romp through his lore and its take on classic game settings for the most part, but I have to tell you, this is no classic in its own right. Now, at $20 or less, if you're a fan, you'll enjoy it, and you won't feel shortchanged. You'll play through it probably a few times and show a friend or two some parts for a laugh most likely. But taken strictly as a game itself, I'm gonna give Angry Video Game Nerd 8-Bit a 7 out of 10. and just barely. The themes are fun, but strip those away from the levels, and most of them feel pretty basic. There are some out-of-the-way power-ups that you have to think fast to collect, and some that use classic 8-bit tricks, like sliding over the edge of a platform and then jumping while you're still in the air to be able to reach them. There are some enemies where you have to closely watch their patterns to know when you can hit or damage them, and when you need to jump over them to avoid them damaging you. But it's all very, very basic in the gameplay department. If this had been an actual NES game back in its heyday, people would have liked it, but they would also have recognized its shortcomings and the lack of its own personality, I guess, when it comes to play mechanics. Now what's here is solid and fun for the most part. There are a few frustrating bits that people will likely be annoyed by, but that's supposed to be part of the 8-bit experience, right? Well, whether it's supposed to be or not, it often was, so I'm not gonna ding the game for that. Now to improve beyond this score, AVGN 8-bit needed a few more unique and clever play mechanics and an improved weapon system, and also at least a couple of more levels. By the time you reach the end, you'll definitely wish it had a few more areas, and not in the way like, hey, this is amazing, I want to keep playing more. Instead, it's more like, hey, wait, that was it? It feels like there should be more to this. Now, the references to AVGN and past characters and events are definitely fun for fans, but will be lost on anyone not well versed in nerd lore. It's still nice that they're in here, and the fans will definitely appreciate it. In the end, Angry Video Game Nerd 8-bit is a game I can recommend mainly to AVGN fans who are jonesing for a new 8-bit style action game and want to enjoy all the in-jokes. If that's you, you'll probably think this is worth the asking price. For the general gaming populace out there, if you're okay with the frequent cursing and toilet humor, you'll probably like the game but come away wishing it was a little bit meatier. So there you go, folks. Knowing that, make your decisions accordingly. Alright guys, it's your turn. What did you think? Are you getting this game today or anytime soon? Are you gonna pass on AVGN 8-bit? Did you make your decision based on this review? Tell me all about it in the comments. That'll do it for this video, my retro and current gaming friends. If you enjoyed it, please like it and share it online somewhere. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you won't ever miss any of my videos. If you want to support the work that I do here, you can do that on Patreon, Ko-fi, or right here on YouTube through things like channel memberships and super thanks. And remember, the Patreon thing is still going on right now. Get a few more Patreon members and I'll enable ad-free videos for all patrons. With that, I'll say thanks for watching and see me later.